came from, or the concern, but it was there, burning in her chest. Cassian looked at her with those golden eyes, and there was something different in them now. Surprise, maybe. "Why do you care?" he asked softly. Blair opened her mouth, closed it. I don't know, but someone needs to take care of you because you clearly don't take care of yourself." Tristan appeared beside them, holding something that looked like a first aid kit. "She's right, you look like crap." "Thanks, Tristan. Very helpful. That's what I'm here for." Tristan looked at Blair. "Help me get him to the hut." Cassian protested, but he was losing blood, and even with his accelerated healing, he was clearly weakened. Blair slung his arm over her shoulders, ignoring the way her stomach churned as she felt the warm blood against her skin. Inside the hut, they got Cassian seated in the chair. Tristan began to clean the wounds with water and something that smelled of herbs. Blair stood there, not knowing what to do with her hands. "You can pass that," Tristan said, pointing to a vial with a strange liquid. Blair picked it up and handed it to him. Her fingers brushed Cassian's as he reached for the vial at the same time. The touch was electric. Both recoiled quickly, as if they had been burned. Tristan looked between the two, a smirk forming. "Interesting." "It's nothing," Cassian said quickly. "Definitely nothing," Blair agreed too quickly. "Sure, nothing." Tristan was clearly enjoying himself. "Well, now that we're done here, I'll leave you two to talk." "Tristan," Cassian began, but Tristan was already leaving. "Good night," he called cheerfully from the doorway. And then they were alone. The silence stretched, heavy and filled with something Blair couldn't name. Cassian finally said, "You didn't have to do that." "Do what? Worry? Help me?" Blair crossed her arms. "Well, sorry for having a modicum of human decency." "I wasn't complaining." He looked at her, and there was something vulnerable in his eyes now. The hard facade was cracking. "To humans caring?" "I know." He paused. "You proved that to me today." They looked at each other for a long moment, and in that silence, something shifted. Blair didn't know what it was, but she felt it. And by the way Cassian's eyes softened, he felt it too. "You should rest," she said softly. "You too." Blair nodded and turned to leave, but before she stepped out, she stopped at the door. "Cassian." "Yes?" "Don't die. It would be really inconvenient." I could hear the smile in his voice when he replied, "I'll try." And as Blair walked back to her hut, she realized she was smiling too. Blair woke up to the sound of voices outside her hut, many voices, and laughing. She got out of bed, still wearing the same clothes from the day before, jeans and a top that were now dirty and torn, and opened the door. Outside, there was a group of children. Werewolf children, she assumed, though at that moment they looked like normal children, curious and boisterous. The oldest, a girl of perhaps 10 with brown hair in uneven braids, stepped forward. "Is it true you came from another world?" Blair blinked, still processing being awake. "Who said that?" "Everyone's talking about it," a smaller child yelled. "Tristan said you appeared out of nowhere in strange clothes." Blair looked down at her jeans. Right, jeans were probably pretty strange in 1723. "What are your clothes made of?" another child asked, touching the fabric with fascination. "It's soft," another said. "And blue. I've never seen blue fabric like that." Blair found herself surrounded by curious little werewolves, all asking questions at once. It was chaotic and adorable and utterly overwhelming. Okay, she raised her hands. One at a time. The oldest girl shushed the others. "I'm Muriel," she said with an authority that didn't match her age. "And these are children of the pack. Most of us have never seen a human up close before." "Great, no pressure," Blair muttered. "Did you really come from another world?" Muriel asked, her amber eyes gleaming with curiosity. Blair hesitated. "Sort of. I come from very far away, and from a long time ahead." The children looked at her confused. "How far ahead?" a small boy asked. 300 years. There was a moment of silence, then the children burst into laughter. "Ha ha ha! 300 years!" a girl giggled. "That's impossible!" Nobody lives that long, another agreed. Unless you're a witch, the small boy said with wide eyes. I'm not a witch, Blair said quickly. I time traveled. It's different. The children clearly didn't believe her, but they seemed fascinated by the story nonetheless. Prove it, Muriel said, crossing her arms. Prove what? That you're from the future. Show us something from the future. Blair looked around at the expectant little faces. Great. No pressure. Indeed. She reached into her pocket and pulled out her cell phone. It was dead, obviously, but it was still something they would never have seen. The children crowded around as she held it up. What is that? Morel whispered, reverently. It's a phone. Where I come from, we use these to talk to people who are far away. How does it work? Well, normally you call and... Blair stopped. How would she explain technology to 18th century people? It's complicated, but there's something better I can show you. She turned on the phone. There was still a little battery left, maybe 2%. Enough time. The screen lit up. The children shrieked and jumped back. It's magic, the small boy yelled. It's not magic, it's technology, Blair said, but then realized that to them it was basically the same thing. She opened the photo gallery before the battery died. There was a photo of her and Jessica at high school graduation, both smiling. The children cautiously approached again, mesmerized. Are those people inside the box? Morel whispered. It's an image, a photograph. It captures a moment in time. Like painting? Sort of, but instant. That's amazing, Morel breathed, her fingers almost touching the screen. Blair scrolled through a few more photos, one of the city, cars, buildings. Each image elicited new sounds of wonder and awe. And then the battery died. No! The children groaned in unison. Sorry, there's no way to recharge it here. But the damage was done. The children now looked at her not with fear, but with something close to adoration. You are from the future, Morel said with conviction. And then she ran. All the children ran, yelling to anyone who would listen about the human from the future and her magic box. So much for keeping a low profile. News sped through the camp like wildfire. Blair was walking towards the communal bonfire when she noticed everyone stopping to look at her. Some with curiosity, others with suspicion, but no one with outright hostility. Progress, she supposed. Tristan found her near the kitchen, where an older woman was preparing something that smelled surprisingly good. So, he said with a wide grin, I hear you caused quite a stir with the kids. I didn't mean to... Relax. It's a good thing. The kids adore you now, and if the kids adore you, the mothers trust you. Basic pack politics. Blair hadn't thought of that. That's strategic. You're learning. Tristan clapped her on the back. Now come on. There's someone I want you to meet. He led her to the older woman in the kitchen. She had gray hair pulled back in a loose bun and kind eyes that crinkled at the corners. Blair, this is Dahlia. She's basically everyone's grandmother here. Dahlia looked Blair up and down with an appraising, but not hostile expression. So you're the human? Looks like it. The children won't stop talking about you. They say you showed them magic inside a box. Blair chuckled humorlessly. It's not magic. It's complicated. Everything is complicated when you don't understand it, Dahlia said wisely. Then she smiled. Do you know how to cook, girl? Blair blinked at the abrupt change of subject. I do. I mean, nothing fancy, but I can manage. Good. I'm making lunch for the pack and could use the extra help, especially if you brought knowledge from the future. She said the last part with a touch of humor, as if she didn't entirely believe it, but was willing to play along. Blair looked at the fire and the pots. An idea began to form in her mind. Actually, there is one thing I could make. From my time. People love it. Dahlia raised an eyebrow. I'm listening. An hour later, Blair was in what could be generously called the communal kitchen, surrounded by ingredients she had to work with. Flour, eggs, milk, which Dahlia assured her was fresh, sugar, a rare luxury, Dahlia had said, and something that resembled vanilla. Pancakes. She was going to make pancakes. Simple, familiar, and, she hoped, universal enough to impress 18th century people. "So you mix everything like this?" Muriel asked. The girl had refused to leave Blair's side since she started. "Exactly. Not too much or it gets heavy." Several other people had gathered to watch, including, Blair noticed with a strange flutter in her stomach, Cassian. He was leaning against a nearby tree, arms crossed, watching with that silent intensity that seemed to be his trademark. His injuries from the night before were already visibly better. Blair tried to ignore the way her heart sped up when their eyes met. "Focus. Pancakes. You can make pancakes." She poured the batter onto a hot griddle over the fire, watching the bubbles form. "Now you flip it," she explained using an improvised spatula. The pancake flipped perfectly, golden and fluffy. There was an appreciative murmur from the small crowd that had formed. "It's like flatbread," someone said. "But fluffier," another added. Blair made several pancakes, stacking them on a plate. Dahlia had found something like honey, and Blair poured it generously over them. "Ready," she announced. "Who wants to try?" Muriel was first, obviously. She took a piece, chewed, and her eyes widened. "It's sweet," she said reverently, "and soft, and..." She took another piece, then another. "Why is it so good?" That opened the floodgates. Suddenly, everyone wanted to try. Children, adults, even some of the more serious warriors came to taste. And everyone loved it. "Is this from the future?" a middle-aged man asked, his mouth still full. "Yes, where I come from, we eat this for breakfast." "You eat this every day?" Muriel asked, horrified by the luxury. "Well, not every day, but..." "The future sounds amazing," a young woman sighed. Blair felt something tighten in her chest. Because yes, there were amazing things in her time, but there were also things she took for granted, things these people would never have. She looked around at the happy faces, at the laughing children, at the way even the most serious adults smiled. And she felt homesick. "Blair," she turned. Cassian had approached, holding a plate of pancakes. "May I?" he asked, indicating a space beside her, away from the crowd. "Of course." They moved away to a quieter area. Cassian ate in silence for a moment, and Blair couldn't read his expression. "So?" she finally asked. "Verdict?" "It's good," he admitted. "Different, but good. High praise coming from you." He gave a small smile. "You made an impact. People are talking. Hopefully in a good way. More curiosity than suspicion now. It's a start." He paused. "You really are from the future." It wasn't a question. Blair looked at him. "You believe me?" "I do." Their eyes met, and there was something there. Something unsaid, but felt. "Cassian." Maeve's voice cut through the moment. She was approaching, her expression serious. "We need to talk. It's about the shadow blood." Cassian sighed and stood up. "I'll go to your hut later." "You don't have to." "I want to." He held her gaze for another moment, and then he left, leaving Blair with her heart beating faster than it should have. Blair spent the rest of the day trying not to think about Cassian, which was difficult considering everyone in the camp seemed to want to talk to her now. The transformation was surreal. In the morning, she was the strange human everyone avoided. Now, in the afternoon, she had children asking to see the magic box again. She had to explain it was out of battery at least 10 times. Women asking if she could teach them more recipes from the future, and even some of the warriors nodding to her with cautious respect. "You're like a celebrity now," Tristan said, appearing beside her as she watched the sunset from her hut porch. "This is bizarre. Welcome to pack life. You do something impressive once, and suddenly everyone has an opinion about you." He sat beside her. "But seriously, what you did today was smart. Win over the kids first, then everyone's stomachs. Classic strategy." "I just wanted to make pancakes," Blair mumbled. Tristan chuckled. "Sure, and Cassian just wanted a private conversation with you." Blair felt her face heat up. "It was nothing." "Uh-huh. That's why he kept staring at you for the last 20 minutes of the meeting with Maeve. Totally nothing." "He was..." "What?" "Oh, you didn't know?" Tristan grinned mischievously.